All right, if you are looking to be entertained, this should be a good video to be watching. Hey lovelies. Today we are going to be doing a full face only using bronzer. Yep, so I'm actually not even sure if people have done this before. I know for a while there was like that whole like using all my highlighters on my face or whatever. But so this is how this kind of came up. Last night Jeremy and I were talking and he was just talking about like he doesn't understand the concept of bronzer. I was trying to tell him it's not to just like make your skin look darker necessarily. It's to like give it more of like a warmth and a glow and to give your face more dimension. And he just wasn't getting it. And he always comments on how like my hairline here is a little darker than my scalp, and you know, kind of like saying that I'm not like blending it or putting too much. And so I know he was trying to get a certain point across and I was trying to get a certain point across, and it was like 12 o'clock at night, we're getting ready for bed, so that's always the greatest time to start having a discussion. And you know, just because I'm a super mature woman, I was like, well, I'm gonna put all of my bronzers on my face and then we'll see, like, because that's, you know, really helpful. That's not what I'm doing today, by the way. I'm not doing that. But I thought all of a sudden it kind of like morphed into this idea of like, oh, but could I do a full face only using bronzer? Like, I was like, that's a good challenge. I'm gonna try it. And you guys, today I'm not gonna like be trying to be goofy. I mean, I really want to try to see if I can make a good look only using bronzer. And I've used bronzer like as a shadow before. If you guys have seen my Fresh in 15 video, that's where I'm like getting ready from start to finish in 15 minutes. And you know, that's one of the little tricks that I do. If you guys want to see that, by the way, I'll link it. It's one of my older videos, so it's downstairs with my old camera and my old lighting and everything, but it's a really good one, I think. So I'll link that anyway. So, you know, I was kind of like, I wonder if this can be done. So I'm not using anything other than bronzer, other than mascara, because like, you know, there's really nothing that could work for that. So we'll see how this goes. Like I said, it should be entertaining either way. So if you want to see me attempt to do my full look only using bronzers, then let's get into it. All right, I've got the hair pulled back because I have a feeling this is going to be enough of a struggle without like having hair getting in my way. Now, obviously the biggest challenge is going to be our base because I can't use foundation and concealer. And you guys, that's like really stressing me out. I never go without concealer. Like if I was on a desert island with like 2 makeup items, it would be concealer and mascara. Cause at least now I have like a little bit of something going on in my brows from my microblading, but like that would be the thing. So I'm just gonna give this a go. So obviously it's not gonna be like the best base, but what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna go through with this Flower Heat Wave Bronzing Essence. I'm hoping that this is gonna give us like just a little bit of tint, enough to like get a little bit more even complexion. We'll see. So I'm gonna put this on. I mean, obviously I can't put it on too thick because I'm gonna get like really like dark. But so this is probably just gonna be almost like a darker like sheer tint, so we will give it a go and see how it is. Oh, you guys. Oh my god, I didn't realize I had untwisted this a little bit already and I went to shake it up and this like started popping off. Can you imagine if I had gotten like liquid bronzer everywhere? Oh. Right, so I'm just going to probably end up rubbing this in with my fingers because this is like sheer enough that, you know, using a brush, I just don't want it like soaking up all the product. The other thing that I found is I thought I had way more bronzers than I do. Like especially creams, because I was like, oh, maybe I can find like a light cream to be able to use. No. Okay, you guys, this like dried down really fast. Usually I use this like either to mix a little bit in with a foundation or I just like dab a little bit on, almost like a very sheer cream bronzer, but that didn't do too bad. I mean, it didn't give us like any coverage whatsoever, and now I almost feel like I should like bronze up my neck. I might just do that a little bit. I am obviously gonna like wash my face and probably redo my makeup just because I have places to go later. Although, you know, like I'm hoping that this really isn't like too ridiculous of a look. Like I said, I really do want to do a good job. So I hope using water isn't like considered cheating because I just spritzed my face a little bit because I found that that like bronzer dried so quick that especially on my neck it got kind of like streaky. So I've obviously never used it all over my face or body before, so I've never had that issue, just trying to like blend it out. So yeah, that looks a little bit better. It makes me sad that that's like the best complexion situation we're gonna have, but it's right. Moving on, we're gonna go through with the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Glow in Faux Tan. Talked about this before. I'm just gonna use this almost as like more of a contour type shade. I just pumped a little bit of that on the back of my hand. Okay, I think I'm already starting to feel a little bit better because now I've got a little bit of dimension going on. All right, now before I go through with my bronzer, well, I guess these are all bronzers, but the bronzer that I'm using as a bronzer and not something else. Anyway, I'm gonna use this Nudies Nude Sticks all over face color. This is the shade Sunkissed. So it says right here, it says Nudies all over bronze color, but they have it in like several undertones. So this to me is more of like a corally. In fact, I think it even says like coral bronze. So I'm gonna actually use this as a cheek color and probably as my lip color as well. So I'm gonna go through and just dot a little of this on the cheek. I'm gonna do one at a time and then just like blend it out with a brush. Okay, I just switched to using my finger because I feel like if I use a brush, it just keeps like blending into oblivion. That's really pretty. It just has that like slight warmth to it, but not like orangey. Okay, now for the actual bronzer, I'm gonna go through with the Jane Iredale So Bronze 2 powder. I believe that the one, like the So Bronze one, doesn't have this like gold shimmer part to it. This was actually gifted to me by a client of mine, which was awesome. I actually am very familiar with Jane Iredale products. I used to sell them very early on in my hairdressing career, and I really do like this mineral makeup. So we're just gonna mix these together. Now, I don't normally prefer a bronzer that has like a sheen to it, especially something that has like a little gold shimmer to it, because this does have that, just because it kind of like makes your skin look more textured. But I thought this would be just kind of fun to use, and it would be fun, you know, through the summer or one day when we're going on vacations again. And I think this will also be really nice, like just to bronze up the body a little bit. Okay, now for a highlighter, I'm going old school. I'm actually dipping into my Too Faced Bonjour Soleil palette. For the highlighter, I'm gonna go through with this Snow Bunny shade. I honestly like cannot believe that I haven't hit more pan on this, because when I first got this bronzing trio, I remember I took it on like 2 cruises with me and I used it all the time. So I'm sort of surprised that it hasn't like gone down a little bit more. And I'm just gonna run a little bit of that like over the brow bone. So we've got a little bit of a glow there. I mean, obviously it's gonna be fairly dark because it is a bronzer after all. Now, the one thing that I was concerned about, which I'm actually finding that I'm not gonna have to worry about, is like a setting powder, because obviously I don't have anything that's gonna be light enough to like set this whole face, but all of the creams that I put on dried down like really well, so I don't think we're gonna have to do that at all. I'm gonna go ahead and set my face using the Milani Make It Last, just to see like if it kind of meshes and melds into the skin now that we have like those powders laid down. Now I'm gonna go through with what's hopefully going to be the easiest part of this whole look, and that's the eye makeup. But first, I'm gonna actually add a little bit of color to my brows just to kind of like define them a little bit. I'm gonna go through with this Cover FX Perfector face palette. I got this from BoxyCharm, and it's obviously like in quite deeper shades than what I personally can use all the time, although I haven't even touched this at all yet, and I really want to, because I think I could go through with these highlighter shades. This blush is really pretty, so I'm gonna use this contour shade. That's probably like the darkest bronzer shade I have in my collection. So hopefully this isn't like hella orange on my skin, but that's kind of why I'm, ooh, yeah, it's gonna be pretty warm, but that's why I'm going through and doing my brows first, so that I kind of know how warm I need to make the eye look, just to sort of like balance it out a little bit. And I'm just running a little bit of this through with the Sigma small angle brush just to kind of give some depth and dimension. What do you guys think from brow to brow? I just like added in a little bit to give it a little dimension. All right, that's not like horrible. I mean, I wouldn't use that as my everyday brow, but it would work in a pinch. Like if all I had was this palette, I would certainly like use that to just throw in a little bit of brow color. All right, you guys, so far this is really not too bad. I mean, I do wish I had some concealer on, and I wish my complexion was a little more covered, especially because right now I've got a couple breakouts. Thank you, masks. But it's doing pretty good, so let's move on to the eyes. All right, so I'm just gonna bounce through a few things to do my eye makeup. First, I'm gonna go through with Hoola. This is that Cheek Leaders palette I used in my makeup play date, and I'm gonna run that through the crease. By the way, I was looking to see what they call Dallas, to see if it was a blush or a bronzer, and on the back of this Cheek Leaders palette, it says Dallas, an outdoor glow for an indoor gal face powder, which I love because that speaks to my heart. But it doesn't really say if it's a bronzer or blush, so I'm not gonna use it. I was considering it, but I'm gonna go through again, like I said, with Hoola to use this like almost like a transition shade, because this right now is just gonna be a couple shades darker than my skin tone. And in all honesty, because I wasn't able to put any concealer on, I really am gonna need some depth up here because I have like veiny eyelids. Like you can see the kind of like blue-green veins, and so I want something that's going to be like dark enough to cover that a little bit. There's not much we're going to be able to do about the dark under eyes and the dark inner corner, but we'll do what we can. So the one thing I realized when I was going through and getting stuff ready for this video is I don't have as many bronzers as I think I do, especially cream bronzers. So I was really surprised, and it kind of makes me feel okay if I did want to pick up another bronzer or two. I mean, we're kind of coming to the end of the summer, so I will probably pass on buying a lot more, but I don't know, I was kind of proud of myself that I had a smaller collection than I thought I did. All right, dipping back into this Too Faced palette, I'm gonna go through with these two shades on the inner corner, and then I'm probably gonna mix these two. This is from the Sun Bunny bronzer, and try to do that on the outer half of the lid, and then we'll go through and like do a little depth. I'm gonna use this Milani spray to see if I can just like make sure to get some intensity from this, since obviously it is meant to be used on the face. It's probably not gonna be like super intense, so we'll see if we can get a little bit more out of it. That's pretty. All right, definitely not my like most shining moment as far as eyeshadow application goes, but I'm very surprised. Like this is a very like yellow gold shadow, but that's not really what I think you'd get if you mix these two. So obviously like the reflect on it is coming out more. So now I'm gonna go through, like I said, and take those two Sun Bunny shades, just kind of blur them together. Now, I think you could probably take this palette and do a full face look just with this palette alone. I mean, obviously if you were actually going to use your complexion products, it would probably be a little better. Well, I have to say, like so far, I honestly thought that it was gonna look a little bit better, like, but I'm finding that, you know, without a little something on your lid, like whether it's an eye primer or a concealer, these powders just don't like have a lot to stick to, and you know, it's just kind of like dry and dusty. So it's sort of giving me like first time ever applying makeup vibes, you know, when you're just like going in there with like super cheap shadows, like, and everything's like dusting away. All right, I'm gonna take this Chocolate Soleil just to see if it's a little bit darker than that Hoola, and we'll start building up the crease a little bit. I think that this is pretty darn close. Like they have a little bit different undertone. And I'm just running a little bit of this under to kind of like hopefully hide some of this darkness. So I was just mentioning that, you know, putting these powders on like lids that have like no concealer, no eye primer on them, it's just kind of like dusting away. I think if I had to do it again, I would go through with a like cream bronzer stick, like either the Physicians Formula one or the Milk Makeup bronzer one would be a really good one because I think that it's like just creamy enough, but it dries down. Maybe that would give you like just enough of something there to like lay powders over the top. Then you'd obviously have to go with like a smokier look, but if I had to do it again, I'd probably do that. But we're gonna keep going on with the look we have. All right, I have bronzer powder and like glitter flecks all over my skirt, just so you guys know. So I'm gonna go through with that contour shade back in that Cover FX palette and just use that to kind of go along the lash line and the outer V. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have so much powder in my eyeballs right now. Like, I don't know if it's just because I'm used to using like really creamy eye formulas. Like even in my matte shadows, I prefer something, you know, that has a nice buttery blend to it. But evidently there's a reason that there are like eyeshadow formulas and bronzer formulas. Okay, so now I'm just going through with a fluffy brush just to kind of like blend that in a little bit. I think I'm gonna take some of that contour shade and just really deepen that crease a little bit more. I keep seeing my one vein that's like right here and I'm trying to cover it up, but it's not going anywhere. All right, I am going to use this lightest shade in that Snow Bunny palette on my finger. I know you guys, I'm using my finger. You should be proud of me. And just put that under the brow bone. All right, mascara time. All right, so I brought the hair back down. I mean, honestly, you guys, it's not horrible. Let's go through and do this Nudies matte. All right, now you guys know how I feel about matte lip colors, but I mean, this color is actually really pretty. Like, wow, I could see like throwing a little gloss over this and being good to go. All in all, it's not the worst. I probably should have put even more bronzer on my neck, but I'm probably just gonna wash this all off in a little bit. But I mean, really, I'm fairly pleased. I think, honestly, if I could like just even have concealer, that would have really helped. I could have evened out like some of the skin tone. I'm very tempted to go through and do that. So let me just like cut back after using a little bit of concealer and I'll show you guys like a little like updated finished result. Okay, now I feel better. I mean, I could probably leave the house this way. Like I definitely have to put a little more bronzer on my neck to sort of like blend everything, but it's passable. Like really, you can do this. I definitely just needed that little bit of coverage. So I just went through with the Too Faced Born This Way sculpting concealer. I have the shade Golden Beige, which is much darker than the shade that I usually use, which is Almond. And honestly, all I did was threw some like right under the eye and then a little bit down my nose because I get red, and then a little on my chin to just try to like cover that up. So I still have, you know, most of my skin showing. It's just the areas, my more like troublesome areas, that I covered up. So I guess this was kind of fun, and you know, thank you guys if you did stick through this and watch this whole video. I just wanted to be creative, and I think that like right now with everything going on in the world, it's good to have a creative outlet. And you know, like I said, I was just when Jeremy and I were talking last night, I was like, that's a fun challenge. I want to challenge myself to do that. And I want to challenge you guys to do this as well. Give it a try. Let me know if you do it and let me know how it works out. I'd love to check it out. Thank you guys so much. If you did enjoy this video of me struggling through using a full face of bronzer, then don't forget to like this video, consider subscribing, and I will see you very soon.